Okay, he has nearly 3 decades of experience. Started his career as a journalist in Enadu, but then transitioned to English media. He was bureau chief of Deccan Chronicle for over a decade. Then he moved to Times of India. Okay, he is one of the leading fact checkers in the country. Okay, I'm sure all of us know that this fact checking is emerging as a new area for journalists. Okay, he's a Google certified trainer, right? He was trained by Data Leads company. He has traveled for over 18 countries. Fine, and he is a recipient of over a dozen scholarships, fellowships abroad. Okay, a very good writer. When he earlier used to focus on crime, I think he still continues to write a lot about crime, but also cyber crime. In addition to this, he dabbles with science. He dabbles with politics. Okay, a widely respected person in journalistic circles. He anchored our fact-checking program, which we conducted for nearly 6 months. Okay, that is when he shared with me that he's also into science journalism. Okay, so he'll be talking to us about reporting, science reporting in the digital age. Okay, I'm sure he will do justice to his job because I know he has this enormous capacity of talking and talking, lecturing, right, without getting exhausted. Until we ask him to stop, he will not stop, right? So I invite Sudhakar to please address the participants, make his presentation. Okay, so these participants are mostly postgraduate students in journalism from St. Joseph's College, from Osmania University, from Siddipet College, from EFLU. Okay, so without wasting much time, we'll start this session. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. So, when I was walking inside, 4 or 5 students were going out. I asked them, where are you going after the lunch? They said, there is other session. Science is boring, so we're going. So, yeah, but that's what the difficult job of a science writer or a science reporter. Unless you tell them, you tell the audience, because most of the readers for the print or digital and for the TV audience, they're non-specialist audience. Unlike, because you are, as a science writer and science reporter, you are a connecting link between expert researchers, expert scientists, and a non-specialist reader. So that's what the difficult job of a science writer or science reporter comes. I think morning session experts like SOWMYA Garu and others may have spoken. So most of us think that as a journalist, do you really need a science degree? We have a technical glitch. They're working on my presentation. So Hello. Yeah, thank you. So I'm a graduate in microbiology and biochemistry. So before this avatar as a journalist, I was streaking in Petri plates and Petri dishes, and I was working on agar medium and trying to do some funny experiments like taking dandruff from the head and trying to grow it in the lab. But one day I realized that was a eureka moment, that where I thought science is not my cup of tea. So I was inspired by journalists and I joined ENADU Journalism School. But even then, when I came there, after seeing my background, I was in Central Editorial Board directly with working with Ramojirao Garu then. So there was a column called Gnana Netram, that's called Science Corner. So I was translating all clips from different newspapers, but then I want to tell you how, because rather than giving a long lecture, I want to give you some tips which I know. My topic is science reporting in digital age. So how you use internet to report science better, how you data mine on internet. But problem is there is no internet here. So they're working out on that. So while, because when I was in Vijayawada for a while, I was writing a lot on environment, dolphins, because nobody knows there are dolphins. I was writing a lot on environment, dolphins, because nobody knows there are dolphins in Hamsala Devi. So the Department of Zoology in Machilipatnam, they took out a skeleton and put it there in Dr. Duggaraj Srinivas. He is a marine. So my editor asked me, do animals read newspapers? Why are you writing so much about this stuff? So it's very difficult unless you're working with Hindu or Business Line, they have special pages. So, but what I realized, I was thinking when I was coming here, driving here, because there is no respect for other forms of journalism these days. So I think I'm seriously planning to quit my investigative journalism or whatever other and take up science journalism, because at least because in this age of disinformation, and I was telling information diarrhea. So in this age of information diarrhea and disinformation, and where I'm not ridiculing puja or any religion or anything such that, but you perform puja before at Sriharikota before your rocket is fired. So at this time of so science journalism would rather be apolitical, irreligious, or non-controversial, where you can keep peace of mind. So is that there? Can you open the professor's email I sent you? So I was talking to science communicators. The big problem is not only with the media and journalists as such, because crime reporting people are crazy. They call it cradle of journalism. Like you learn as a cub reporter, you take up crime reporting and start doing crime stories. But you hardly find any science journalists because we can only hear about Mr. Gopalakrishna from Sakshi, Said Akbar from the same newspaper I represent, and SOWMYA Garu and a few others. But there's a dire need, an important necessity that journalists should start working on science. And because at the time of COVID-19, as a fact checker or as a fact check trainer, we have seen information pandemic, which apart from that, there are other aspects wherein science is one big area wherein there's a lot of disinformation. So Usually what we do for science reporting, we go to prestigious institutes, maybe CSIR institutes or universities, and talk to scientists, researchers. For instance, in Hyderabad, we have got the CCMB, NGRI, CDFD, you got NIN, you got a lot of agricultural research institute, rice research institutes affiliated to Jai Shankar University, and you have ICRISAT. And these days, like any other reporting, there are a lot of scientists very active on Twitter. That's why let us talk about sourcing. How do you source? Generally, what we know as when we are in the physical age. Now, if it's, let us not leave the physical journalism, legwork journalism, but now we are living in digital age. So I always recommend you should be phygital. So apart from doing legwork, because a lot of scientists these days are all on Twitter and other social media. For example, you got one of the good scientists called Vinod Skaria, very active on Twitter, and he is continuously tweeting. Even Rakesh Mishra, the ex-director of CCMB, is on Twitter. So there are a lot of Twitter handles. Even all the CSIR institutes or universities are running their Twitter handles. So Twitter is one of the greatest source in digital age for a journalist. Because you know that importance of how even Munugodu elections is mostly fought on cyberspace. So I want to show some practical tips so that it's easy for you. Before that, I would like to tell you how the access to the internet has expanded greatly in India. There's a website called livestats.com. If you check on your mobile also, it will show you how many tweets are done, how many videos are uploaded each second and each minute. Live stats. 1 second. Why I'm trying to give you this, because the amount of internet livestats.com, so the amount of data we are running on data, not on oil, data, and we are running on search engines. This world is running on algorithms and search terms. That's why, for instance, maybe some biggest economy is selling search keywords. The biggest economy, the Google, one of the biggest Google or all these social media platforms. అక్కడ పెట్టాలా ఇక్కడ పెట్టాం కుదరదా ఓకే సో అక్కడ పెడితే నాకు ఎలా అంటే నేను ఐ వాంట్ టు షో సంథింగ్ లైవ్ అక్కడ పెడతారా అక్కడ కూర్చొని చెప్పాలా అక్కడ బెటర్ అది తీసుకెళ్ళచ్చు పోడియం వెళ్తుందా కార్డ్లెస్ మైక్ సో hello. So before a journal is published, before a research paper is published in a journal, it's published in online first. So science reporting, unlike previously, like any other form of reporting, it has become more easy when you do it. Sorry for this kind of arrangement. Turn it down. So, okay. Can you open SAR's email at least? Is on his laptop? Ichan. So let us do this because outline. Ichara? So I'm talking about keywords. Google, entire Google's economy, data economy is based on keywords. For instance, how am I thinking? What are the keywords that come into mind? For example, for instance, Alia Bhatt is my favorite heroine. So what would I obviously search? Or somebody like this young gentleman, Alia Bhatt, nice pics of Alia Bhatt. So the economy, the Google makes it is one of the top keyword where, for instance, you're searching for Samsung mobile or mobile phone with this much resolution camera. So Google is trying to use your brains, whatever keywords that you're thinking of before you search. You want to search Munugodu by-election result or whatever keywords that are mostly searched by the people depending on the volume and depending on the country from which it is being, because when it is searched from America, where it has high CPC value, so depending on the keyword value, Google is collecting money from advertisers. So this world is run on search engines, whether it's a simple search or advanced search or refined verb search. So as a journalist, as a science journalist, you should know how to search the web for your news stories. So this is just a website that shows you how much is like currently while I was talking, these many emails are sent, and these many, you can see Google searches today. So tweets and so in this ocean of data or uploads, videos, how do you actually look for the science stories you need? So there's one simple, because if you are searching Google regularly, web is always divided into surface web, deep web, and dark web. Dark web, you need Tor, and I'm not advising you to go to dark web, but for the deep web, you have advanced search, for which there is a simple technique that I don't need. This is not only for science reporting, but any other reporting. If you just use this, you can use a specific file, specific website also. You can, for example, you want to search nature. You want to search nature. You can also search on nature. I'll show you. But before that, advanced search helps you. For example, here it's their site or domain. What do you want to search? Let us search. Are there any references regarding Hyderabad? Obviously, when you are reporting from Hyderabad, you would look for scientific research papers or whatever scientific aspects from Hyderabad that are being uploaded, are being done by the institutes. So you can find all these results only from nature, specifically from nature. So there are these are the active institutes like University of Hyderabad, Indian Institute of Technology, Hyderabad, International Institute of Information, Jawaharlal Nehru, whatever. So there's something called Hyderabad Chloroform Commission. I haven't heard about it so far. So this is how very simple tool you can use this, any of these words, none of these words, words ranging from where it can help you. For example, you want specific language, specific region, site. This is what we have done just now. And terms appearing. File type also. For instance, you only want PDFs. Nature में in PDF files, in nature, what are the Hyderabad related references? For instance, you can also nature.com file type PDF. Then you go to let us customize the period also, time period. Where is that? Last update. So this will narrow your results. This can be used for anything. But as a science journalist, I'm trying to give you. You have these last 1 year. Now the latest one comes. There is a correspondence. For example, there is a safety and efficacy of terlipressin in acute chronic liver. There is a research paper. So advanced search, Google search helps you to find out specific papers, specific research papers on specific topic. You can even, if you want to write in general, not about Hyderabad-based research, in general about, for example, COVID-19, something like that. From that, in Google, I think many of you may be aware of it, Google Scholarly is one great source of science journalists. Google Scholar, googlescholar.com, scholar.google.com. Usually what I do, if I want to know the latest, I use 2 keywords. That's why Hyderabad, like Alia Bhatt, Hyderabad is one great keyword because a lot of people will be searching about Hyderabad. I can see a lot of smile on the faces of boys here. So I take Alia's name. So Hyderabad 2022. So Hyderabad 2022, you can also give here custom time range, anytime since 2022 or custom range. You only want, for example, is it taking, I have to check it. Month-wise also it's supposed to take, I don't know how. Yeah. So these are all, Pakistan, Hyderabad also it will show because it's Hyderabad, it's mission. There are a lot of, look at this. There's a nice paper, risky routes, safe suspicions, gender, class and caste. There's some, in August 2022, there's a publication on how cab routes in the metropolitans of city of Hyderabad, they have done some study. There's one more on reflective and prevalence and patterns of refractive errors in children in urban region in South India. It's latest study only. So now what you do when you get it, you contact, you can find out, for example, this is the corresponding author. You can write to him. Or you can write to any of these. I think these are from LV Prasad, could be because it. So this makes your work easy. But one important point is some of the journalists, they just pick it up from the websites and write. But you have to contact the author, talk to him, take additional details, and one important thing is, I think maybe people who spoke in the morning have told you about peer-reviewed journals. Only take from peer-reviewed journals mostly, because those are authentic. Anything that's called a science publication without any peer review is not acceptable in the sense of authenticity. So like peer to peer. Yeah. So this Google Scholarly is very useful. You can use a number of, for example, you want Hyderabad COVID research from 2022, just type, you get a lot of articles, latest. So you can sort by relevance, sort by date. So this is a good source. Why Hyderabad? Because obviously you can't write something happening because for news stories, there should be, it should be localized, or the research would have been done here, or research Hyderabad or Telangana, Andhra, or wherever you are working from. If it's Delhi or whatever. But you can, even if you are the science writer for entire country, you can check India or whatever. So that's how the key terms, keywords are being used. Now Google actually, suppose Hyderabad COVID, plasma, what is that treatment called? Monoclonal plasma therapy is not great. Monoclonal antibodies. Suppose I think AAG is doing a lot of research on this. So a cocktail of antibody cocktail. There is a research journal from with Hyderabad relevance. So if you're writing a story on that, you get it here. Okay, let's go to Nature. Why I'm trying to, because there are only few journals which give you most authentic news, like nature.com. Here also you have a search thing. You go to search. You can search all journals. Usually what people do, even a few of my colleagues recently have written, it's published in Nature. Nature has got other journals like scientific reports. Scientific reports is not Nature. Whatever found on Nature, this website is not from Nature. There are a lot of journals, like scientific reports is one journal. They often, so you should know which, there's an advanced search also of nature.com. So use which author contains publication, publication year. Obviously, you want latest articles. So, for example, I use the word Telangana. Actually, I'm sharing my secrets. So, because I don't know, I have, because even one of you, among all of the students, even one takes up this science journalism, it's good. So, for instance, I just asked it for Hyderabad and 2022, all subjects, all. So, you can see there are open access, open access, and some of them you can contact. For example, Vipin Das, I think he's from this institute, is a LVPI. He's also a Chevening fellow. So there are a lot of, you can check 21 September. This could be very latest. There are October related, look at this, investigation of acute organophosphate poisoning. This could be make a nice story. 3rd October, very recent one. There are November ones also, because you can check November. Juvenile Canavan disease in Indian community due to population bottleneck and isolation, genomic signature of founder event. One big thing in science is You should not use jargon or terminology which common man can't understand. So you have to simplify it, simplify the complexity in science, so that's why those four people who ran away before attending my class, if I simplify and tell them, they will come back. Because science people think is complex, it's intimidating. You go to a scientist, he will talk something, it will, because you don't know algebra, it's rocket science, it's intimidating. That's why a science journalist, before going and meeting a researcher or a scientist, you do your homework. Researcher or a scientist, you do your homework. Do your homework and go and do whatever. You suppose, for instance, you have to know neurodegenerative disorder, do some research on that. So, yeah. This is one, and I suggest there's one more called Science Direct. This is nice web platform that gives you even even CCMB, NGRA, CDFD, whoever, whatever research paper they publish, they are here. Here in the sense, all these, either Google Scholar or you go to Science Direct or PubMed, or PLOS1 is another important this thing. PLOS1 I will show. This one also same thing. This story I've written recently. Urbanization and land surface temperature changes. So heat islands in Hyderabad. So there are a lot of, PLOS1 is another great, PLOS has a lot of, but PLOS1 I found a lot of interesting stories, including Osmania University doing a research on what we call those flies that come during rainy season, winged termites, Usullu in Telugu. So they were nanoparticles. PLOS1 is other, you have search and advanced search here. PLOS has got a lot of okay. So yeah, there are a lot of stories here. For instance, plasmid-mediated antibiotic resistance among uropathogens in primary gravid women in Hyderabad. So you find a lot of, then PubMed, it's simple. You search, advanced search using key terms that are relevant to you. You want to do cancer story, because science stories are majorly two types, like popular science, which is evergreen, and those having short shelf life, like somebody doing research. And so there are some alerts also, which can give you alerts of what's happening. If one is eurekalert.org. Eureka alert. Sorry, I typed it wrongly. Eureka alert. Nada? Yeah. No, sir. I have it in my bag. Can you bring me my cable there? EurekaAlert.org. Wherever science news releases are released, you can create in my bag. So you can sign in and get alerts from these. You know, any fire, NASA has an alert system. I have subscribed to it 10, 12 years ago. So there's one more called Newswise also. Can you? Newswise. So this also gives you a leading source of research news across the world. Last time I gave you one more website. Anybody last time few of you I can see here. Last time when I was taking science class, that's also very important source of news stories. I'll try to give you later. I don't have it currently. So this is one more website that gives you a lot of alerts on science research happening in the world. And on Twitter also, have you heard about TweetDeck? TweetDeck, I think Mega knows because, something went wrong. Is Twitter down? Okay. There's no problem with the internet, but Twitter wise. Oh, Twitter is down. Huh? Maybe I have to pay my $8. So then, yeah. Okay, let it be. So, I'll go through the slides. Silence kills science, because when in this age of disinformation and misinformation and information diarrhea, where people are trying to float false science theories, anti-climate change science theories. So when you keep silent as a journalist, then ignorance, fear, and rumors prevail. They fill the void that science communicators or science journalists fail to do. This is what I was talking about, how internet access has expanded greatly. Like even in Munugodu other day, they're not reading print newspapers. But I strongly recommend, because I work for it, it's my bread and butter. But they're actually watching reels and memes, reels. This is the age of reels and memes. So even as a science, I think Mega was doing good work on fact-checking videos, memes, reels. So people are most time on WhatsApp, Facebook. So as a science journalist, we were talking about sourcing science reports using internet, a cyberspace. At the same time, how you actually promote your stories on cyberspace is very important. These many searches, these many videos are uploaded. These are some of the articles. For example, this center, this is Eureka winged termites yield. It's not breakthrough nanoparticles. This is Osmania University has done a nice research from. One big problem is like this heading also, I don't know, because when you write something, headline is something. Always when you announce that this is earth-shaking research finding, there is nothing earth-shaking, because science works in slow pace. So people tend to sensationalize. So always in science reporting, you should have more illustrations, infographics, photographs. Journalism should be evidence-based. Science is highly evidence-based. And science journalism should also be evidence-based. So when you explain them in infographics and illustrations, it's easily understandable. And examples, case studies, anecdotes of real-life incidents. Other important thing is, if you're writing about, during COVID period, if you're writing about something else, now currently, what is the virus that is affecting the animals? It starts with L. Lumpy skin. So now you write about it, people will read. So always relevance, context is important. One more thing I want to show you, because before I forget, this is an interesting website, Clinical Trials Registry. clinical trials. This is very interesting site I find always, ctra.nic.in. So this gives you a lot of information, what research is going on in the country or in your place also. In, for example, same thing, same keywords I use because it's the most common. I found I have done a lot of stories using this site because for instance, you will come to know what is the stage of COVID vaccine because they may not, they have to reveal all these, what are the Covaxin or hope, the problem with the code. See, let's go back and see. MGY, what is this? Next, MR. I think there is some problem with the site, but this is a very good site where you find, for instance, in Apollo hospitals, there is some research, whether interventional or observational studies. There are two major studies done by scientists. One is interventional, where they will inject the drug inside. The other one is observational studies. So, so you find every research done either in NIMS or either any clinical trials organization or any research CCMB, everything is uploaded here, much ahead of their recruitment also. So you don't know what kind of research is happening, what kind of drug is going to come out. Aa gaya. So you see, I typed Hyderabad. There are 2,919 research from 2007. But if you want, simply you can go to find and type 2022. Then you get so there are 296 research, ongoing research in Hyderabad clinical trial to evaluate efficacy and safety of acid mouthwash, something to reduce bleeding, post-COVID illness and homeopathy. Suppose you want to write about homeopathy. So there is other controversy. Let us not get into that, whether homeopathy is a placebo or not. So, so this is this is a nice research on study to test a preventive drug for COVID-19. But obviously, when you get the details here, you can go and find out, if you go to view, here, Nephrocare Health Services Private Limited, Osmania Medical College. You can contact Osmania Medical College also, but you have to know who is they will give you Dr. Vivekananda Jha is from there. From Osmania, you'll find out here who is a principal investigator. Yes, Shashidhar Chennamasetti from Nephro and Manisha Sahai from Osmania. So his phone number is also available. You can contact them or mail them. Always mail them. So that's because I thought I would forget. Obviously, scientists, the terminology you use is very important, because otherwise you are giving a false hope to the patients. For example, somebody, oh, COVID-19 medicine is out. There is nothing specific medicine so far that is actually treating COVID-19. So we should be careful about those, what kind of words you use when you write a science article. Terminology is very important. Avoid hype and exaggeration of findings. Misleading news reports is misleading press release written by our journalists, because that's I'm trying to tell the communicators. But you should take time, prepare. Don't go by whatever, and always go for multiple sourcing, talk to multiple sources. And for instance, even the research papers, if you have a, even if you don't have doubts, try to talk to the people. For example, Osmania Medical College have done a research, or CCMB have done a research. Try to talk to the same similar expert in another research institute, so that you get a parallel view of what is happening. I was talking about mining the web, and that's basics. So always very important in journalism, or even in science journalism, clarity of thought, clarity in writing. If you don't have clarity of thought, you will not have clarity in writing. When will you get clarity of thought? When you understand it, when you speak to multiple people, when you collect a lot of information about it. If you don't have clarity of thought, there will be errors in writing, and the writing will become inefficient and not palatable. And consistent style, simplification. Fundamental rule in science communication is make it simple. And always explain, even for instance, you may assume that COVID-19 vaccine. So explain even small terminology, explain it, and have a detailed, when you have writing for web, it is a long form journalism. So then all these are, yeah. So what are the, can you write everything for anything for the newspapers or digital or TV? Because you are talking to the audience in larger audience, they may not be interested of too much of scientific findings. So whatever is being applicable for regular news reporting is same is applicable for science reporting also. It should be human interesting. It should be a major science development. It should be a mystery unraveled. For instance, CCMB has done a research on how, because earlier initially people were thinking COVID is mostly by touch and sneezing and all those things. But when it's even in air, actually transmit more by air. So they have found out a research. And CCMB also found out in, for example, in Hyderabad sewerage, how much of the COVID virus is found, coronavirus, they found it, and based on which they said this much of prevalence of the disease. So, and interesting angle, always you should give an interesting angle. Topic should be nice. So then this is very important. Where is it this published? Published in a distinguished journal, maybe Nature or Science Direct or whatever. Then cross-linking, for if you're writing for web, you're giving a hyperlink which will cross-link. I have already spoken about social media, using social media. Now let us go into these fact-checking and disinformation of science and health reports, because a lot of people in Iran died of drinking alcohol, thinking that even, Skylab, when Telangana people thought Skylab will fall on Telangana, everybody started eating mutton, chicken, and enjoying their lives, but it never fell here. So likewise, people were thinking if you drink alcohol, COVID will not impact you. But actually it killed a lot of people. So as a science journalist, or because you have to work on these, but that's a different topic, fact checking altogether. Is there a lot of techniques on how you fact check? Even in Munugodu Bipole, there are a lot of images that are coming out saying that people are giving gold coins. It's a world actually Puducherry related. So that is a big topic. But one important thing I want to stress is on climate change. Lot of because Donald Trump says there is no climate change. It's all trash. So how many of you believe really there is a climate change issue? So most of you, that's good. So it's very important subject where there is a lot of funding available for journalists also to do research and write stories. So one such thing is uh, climate change. You know the basics of climate change. How many of you agree a 1.5 degrees Celsius increase in temperature by 2 will make extreme weather events like heat waves, flash floods, cyclones more frequent? I agree. 1.5 doesn't sound like too much, manageable. I disagree. Earth bounces back, it will heal itself. One says it will bounce back. So yes, it's it's big thing. 1.5 degrees will have a major impact. So I know most of you are aware of what is climate change. That's a basic thing. World temperatures are rising, and how that's why conference of parties are being held. In Hyderabad also, there was a COP on biodiversity. I was the United Nations observer there. But how there is a big threat to the biodiversity. Always one important thing, science is not just that happens in the science labs or research institutes. You have to link it to the common man's problems. That is very important. For instance, a farmer witnessing extreme weather events could be a nice subject. You go and talk to climate change scientists. We have a lot of scientists working in IIT and IIT Hyderabad, and even EPTRI. There is a institute that works on climate change. So when you are aware of all these things, you should have a basic there is a lot of confusion and polarization and people disregarding the risks leading to delay in climate action. Somebody said Earth's climate always changes. It is normal. Earth has a way to bouncing back. Earth climate changes, but not so rapidly as now. Changes that are taking place in decades now would normally make millions of years, because it is fast changing. So plants need carbon dioxide. So emissions are not that bad. Do you agree with this? Why? Because too much of carbon dioxide. Plants can't observe. Because one important thing, what people usually think, there is a big problem with science reporters, whoever in this country. I'm in one of the WhatsApp groups where almost all scientists and science reporters, they are only thinking about pure science and applied science. But I feel environmental science is a very big thing, should be focused on. So environmental science, for instance, in Hyderabad, it is pharma-related antibiotic resistance or pharma pollution, or your for irrigation projects, your carbon sink is destroyed. So, oh my God, there is a problem in loading these pages. Okay. So, I will also tell you there are a lot of, NASA fire alerts. For example, if I think about repeatedly, the net is gone, sir. That's what it is. हाँ, अभी आया. So NASA gives fire alerts. So you have just enter your email ID. It gives you, even when it's happening in Telangana or Andhra, real time and NRSC also gives you National Remote Sensing Center. National Remote Sensing Center. Again, it's gone. Internet. Internet లేదమ్మా. 82.
682
682
675
675
06.
06. రాలేదండి. నో ఇంటర్నెట్.
iPhone, sir, 84.
ఐఫోన్ మీదే సార్. ఎంత? So there are two aspects reporting science in digital age. How do you source science reports from internet, and how you use internet to promote your reports? So first part, yeah. So there's a problem with the internet. That's what happens here always. I'll go here and speak up. Sorry. So basic points. Science reporting has a similar news values like any other reports. But science reporting is different. Science writing is different from regular report writing, wherein you should avoid jargon or terminology, but at the same time, you have to be accurate. What happens in most cases, to avoid to avoid terminology, what people do, they try to move away from accuracy of the science. That makes, because once you write a report, then the scientist will not give you a new story next time when you are not writing an accurate report, thinking that. But if you write too much of terminology, then nobody will read it. So there is a big challenge in writing science reports. That's why I've been telling clarity of thought, clarity in writing. Clarity of thought comes from understanding, talking to people, talking to multiple sources. For instance, taking a research paper, talk to their other peers from other institutes, try to simplify it. Always in research papers, try to take abstract and conclusions and results. Abstract, conclusions. That's where the crux lies. And email them, take your time. There's one website called Sci-Hub. So some research papers are not free. They will cost you. They will ask you to pay some money. But Sci-Hub, Sci-Hub. This website will suppose is like WikiLeaks, like but always not. It's not question of authenticity. It is a leaked database of even somebody is not giving you free open access. When it's written open access, it is open access. You can code them, you can code the journal, you can code the scientist and write. When it's not open access, you can still find it. But the ethics comes here, whether you can report it or not. But you can actually take that paper and ask that researcher. Not open access journals. But this is where you can type it and get all the research papers free, like a leaked database for the people. Twitter is a great source of, TweetDeck. I'll show you simple of how TweetDeck works. Sorry, sir. That's because this will help you. I think most of the fact checkers know. Twitter రాలేదు ఇంకా. ట్విట్టర్లో ట్వీట్డెక్ అని ట్విట్టర్ వాడితే దిస్ ఇస్ ఓన్డ్ బై ట్విట్టర్. ట్విట్టర్లో ట్వీట్డెక్ అని ట్విట్టర్ వాడితే దిస్ ఇస్ ఓన్డ్ బై ట్విట్టర్. tweetdeck.twitter. For example, look, I have made a list of Telugu TVs, Telangana politics, rural journalism. Likewise, you can make a list. For example, here, create list. Create list. For example, science updates. You can create on your own. So if you want it to be public for everybody, you can make it public, or if you want to keep it private also, you can keep it private. So now, for example, whom do you want to add? For example, Rakesh Mishra. Let us check Rakesh Mishra's Twitter. He is ex. Oh my God, there's something wrong with. Okay, come back to this. So you can add up Rakesh Mishra. Don't add pop singer Rakesh Mishra. There is so Rakesh Mishra, Vinod Skaria, CCMB. You can make a list. When you make a list, because here there's some problem. List appears like this. Helps you to make list. So for instance, I made a list of Telangana politics. So I have all these people who are DK Aruna, KTR, Telangana. So you have everything on one place. This is a great source. For example, you make all important scientists, all important scientific journals. So whatever updates, it's there on your desktop. Like you keep everything on all the TVs at one place like that. The list tweet deck is very important. This you have to practice, even advanced search and search techniques and tweet deck, you have to practice repeatedly so that you will, actually science reporting with the advent of internet has become more easy. More easy because I still have 5 minutes. I'll finish in 5 minutes. So science reporting have become easy with the advent of internet. One is you can easily find out research papers, you can easily contact, you can easily email them, and you can source it easily, and the keywords. So if you have doubts, I will take it from, because I wanted to give you some kind of techniques and tips that you can use it, go back and use it. Unless, because one important threat to science journalism is most of the editors are not bothered about science reporting. So they're more interested in crime reporting because you get more clicks. People are also not bothered about science happenings, unless when COVID came, everybody talking about vaccine. So, but it is our prime duty to inform the society, because in the directive principles, one of the directive principles is to increase the scientific temper. So, and to keep people better informed, it's our duty to give space to the, most of the newspapers or TV channels, they don't have space for science reporting. But in West, I worked with the Guardian. They have a dedicated pages for science, and even BBC Science. BBC Science is one nice website. If you want to write popular, BBC Science is a nice website that gives you popular science. And you have to, it's not popular science always. As journalists, we always look for pure and applied science, what's happening in latest in that field. Then try to link up, apart from misinformation, fact-checking is one area, writing updates is one area, popular science is one area. Try to link up the issues. For instance, Hyderabad. There's a lot of antibiotic-resistant pollution. Even in fish, for instance, the fish you eat, we don't know what levels of lead, what levels of even the vegetable, leafy vegetable that is always found in Hyderabad, that Ponnugante kura, that has high levels of lead and cad, because most of it is grown on Musi riverbed. So the heavy metals are getting into these vegetables. So maybe you can do an applied science thing, like identify the people's problems and try to link it to the science and talk to the scientists. And for example, I was writing about meat other day, National Meat Research Institute in Hyderabad. India, there are a lot of lynchings happening on cow beef. But actually, in the 90% of the cases, it is found to be mutton, chicken, or buffalo. So people are wrongly lynched. So that came from a national institute. If you type also, you get my story on internet. So that gives, science has a lot of power. There are a lot of innovation is other important area, particularly agriculture innovations. We neglect it in India, but agriculture innovations, there are a lot of innovations happening. It need not be a scientist who is innovating things. For instance, currently GM mustard seed. So we have one great man called Rahman, who is one of the member of genetic engineering approval committee. Today also, there's always, don't take only activist angle. When I was writing about uranium pollution, activists always cry foul. You have to take the version of Uranium Corporation of India. They have their own version, while activists, so balance between both, give their balance in the sense, obviously you have to bring out ill effects of uranium pollution in Kadapa. If you type, I have written a lot of stories on that. But at the same time, like any other reporting, when you're linking it to common problems, you take the versions. Like GM Mustard, today the activists are holding a press conference saying how. But once I was walking into a super Ratnadeep stores. I found breakfast cereals. I picked up because rose idli kake. So let us try these cereals. So when I checked it, I found it. It's written GM food. So unknowingly, people are importing GM cereals from America. So the question is whether GM food is harmful or it's a debatable topic. But people are eating. All the eateries in Hyderabad, they use GM cotton oil. Unknowingly, we are all eating. Ajkal, there are a lot of streets. Everybody going and eating outside only. So GM oil, we are anyhow using GM cotton oil. And even the buffaloes and cows are fed with GM cotton cake. So the question is, but activism is always gives a scary picture. But there are hazards. So as a science reporter or a science writer who is writing, then you have to be taking multiple views. So that story using GM cotton, everything is GM cotton. So tomorrow it will be, for instance, your even there biological control happening. Biological control. There is one nice story actually which I didn't work out, where even like all these Ramakrishna unscientific people are trying to promote unscientific diet methodologies. But for biocontrol also, people are promoting without proper control. It will control your pests in. So obviously, India is an agriculture country. Try to focus on agriculture. Science reporting is not just health. So there are multiple issues. So it all the same journalistic principles. It doesn't mean I'm saying you only do internet and phone call and email, but you can as well go and see. For example, I went to LACONS, Laboratory for Conservation of Endangered Species. Found very interesting things there. How a frozen zoo. You can see a frozen zoo where they freeze the ova and sperms of even cheetah and these people, and how the breeding happens. So when you go to the place, during COVID-19, I went to CCMB. There's a lot of research happening, a lot of incubators, new companies, private companies incubating. So science is economy these days. Science is big. Why that? What is the lab, sir, that made Covaxin? Hyderabad mein? Bharat Biotech. Bharat Biotech owner Ella, he was given Z plus security. And he is one of the richest man. And hetero drugs that made the 400 crores cash fund. So it's a big economy, whether black or white or whatever. So science is related to economy. And get into those groups, online groups, Facebook groups. There are scientific communities, good scientific communities, not those scientific communities that say we made the first Pushpak Viman. We were actually doing I'm not, that's beliefs are different and evidence based science is different. You can ask me few questions. I'm done with what I want to tell.
I have one.
Sure, please.
So as you said, this GM crops,
Sure.
GM oil, or etc. In America, they are aware of GM crops. They label it and they were educated.
True.
Therefore, if people see GM crop, they avoid it and they go.
Whoever want. Yeah.
So here, the journalists must also make aware of what will happen with the GM crops. You take this mustard, but there are a variety of even brinjal also has come. So all these, what will happen? Whether scientific evidences are there, are they harmful or not?
Yeah.
Such stuff of information must reach to the common people. And when they label, if they like to eat GM, let me, otherwise if they want to go to normal type of things, they can. So I think this is the one you have to take.
Yeah. There's a website of Genetically Engineered Approval Committee, GEAC. There are a lot of reports that are put in there. If you type GEAC, it's wide variety of information available there where you can write, and you have scientists, Mr. Rahman. So you talk to them, and as the elderly gentleman said, as journalists, it's our duty to create impact and awareness. But actually, the soya sauce, whatever available, all the sauces are imported and they have GM. So labeling is another big thing. Not as a science reporter, but as general reporter also, labeling is very bad, labeling rules. Even FSSA, Food Safety Authority of India, you should go through that website. It's a lot of source. For instance, they say what amount of adulteration in rice, how many grams of rat fecal matter is allowed, is a story. You know that they change very often. In the rice bag you buy, this much of amount of rat fecal matter is allowed. So FSSA standards are there. It's very interesting subject. How much amount, even in milk, how much amount? So those standards change. Indian, sometimes we are far less when compared to US FDA. But those are interesting aspects. You go through that website, Food Safety Authority of India standards. Everything has standards, even your maida, even your flour, even a chili powder. Adulteration is very big thing that happens. Even if the tea powder is adulterated. Or samples, tea powder, even your karam, masala is adulterated. So those things people will read more when we write, rather than, oh, these scientists have found nanoparticles, because those are the things that what we eat, what we drink, what you consume. So there's nice documentaries on Netflix also on health, food, nice documentaries, even wine. So they also talk about before you take, after eating, you take wine, it will show less impact, negative impact. So before you empty stomach, you take, there are scientific studies. But people get confused often. Tea tagite manchdi. Tea is good for health. Again, tea is not good for health. But I think that's a danger within science. Anything? Thank you. Thank you.
What is the scope for the science journalists in this domain, especially in the local circuit? Like international market, I think they have a lot of scope and they are given a lot of time.
Yeah.
But in the local markets or local media, mainstream media or people, print or so what is the scope?
Scope is like this. For instance, I do political reporting, I do crime reporting, I do fact checking, I do disaster, environment, and science. Like you don't have a highly specialized beats, a science beat. That's a big problem with Indian newspapers or Indian media industry, where you don't have, there are people, for instance, in Delhi, there are a couple of people are here and there, but specifically dedicated science reporter posts are not available. You have for sports, you have for business and general and crime, but not for science. But I think there should be, because of COVID-19, and there's a lot of discussion going on. And in fact checking also, science fact checking and health fact checking is picking up. There are a lot of jobs coming up as health fact checkers or science fact checkers. Hope you should start your own website for science, because Hyderabad is a good place. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you very much, sir, for explaining how to use of the digital presentation, digital communication, which is more important nowadays rather than a print media. So he has given several examples, and thank you very much on behalf of the organizing committee. We are thankful to the Sudhakar Reddy Garu for accepting our invitation and delivering this wonderful talk. Now I invite Professor Ramchandra Garu and Professor Radhanayan Garu to felicitate our speaker. Sir.
I got this all.
Yeah, now we'll break for tea for 10 minutes. After that, we have one more lecture by Professor Ramchandra, and then after that, we'll give some assignment to you for your doing some work at your home. Then we'll meet again tomorrow. Okay? Yeah, please.